So you need to do what I always tell you if you follow me. Hit pause real quick and grab that pen and paper, because these 4 things are going to go fast and I'm going to want you to write them down. They're that important. So the first thing that Bob was talking about this morning was know your numbers. Now, he didn't say that. That's the CPA coming out with me, in me, or with me. Know your numbers. I'm an ex-CPA. I don't know if I mentioned that, and it's not really that important because I love numbers, but I don't really like to talk about it. But it's so important in anything you're doing to know your numbers, but especially with your health. And Bob indicated that today. I was so surprised that it wasn't something he's always done. And stay tuned to the end, because you're going to see exactly how I do that. But you need to know your numbers. So there's 3 simple things that I'm going to give you right now that you can do to make sure you always know your numbers. So the first thing in knowing your numbers is every time, not sometimes, not maybe, but every single time you go to a doctor's office and you have reports, I want you to ask them for a copy. Ask them for a copy of your blood work. Ask them for a copy of that x-ray report. Ask them for a copy of that scan. It is so important that you first have your own set of copies. Now, I know we can get them down the road, but wait till I show you again at the end the amazing set of numbers I've been able to build, because I do it every time. First tip, get copies from the doctor. The second thing I want you to do, and you can do this when you get home, but let's use blood work for an example. I want you to take a look at it. You know, back in 2007, I had looked at my blood work, and I called. So this is a perfect story. I had called the office because I hadn't heard from my GYN about my blood work results. And she said, "Oh, they're all great." And what did I say? "Oh, would you be able to fax me a copy?" "Sure, absolutely." So they sent a copy to me, and I looked through the numbers. Now, I am not a physician. I am not even a nurse, but I can read a set of numbers, especially when they say, here's the range for that level. So let's take my example, my calcium. The range should be a high of 10.2. Mine was 10.4. That's not so much. From an accountant's perspective, that percentage is so little. But why is there a range? I thought to myself, if there's a range, there must be a reason when a number's out of the range to investigate. So I called the doctor's office back and I said, "Okay, you told me everything was okay, but I see that my calcium is off." She said, "Well, let me check with the doctor." Called me back. The doctor said that's fine. That's not so far off. Well, I didn't like the answer, but I made note of it. That was in 2007. In 2014, 7 years later, that became a very important fact, and one of the reasons my life was saved, and I'll share more of the story. But the second tip is to review your numbers and research. So if there's a number that's off or out of the range or something on the scan that you don't understand, I want you to call back and ask questions, interrogate them. That's what they're there for. That's what they went to school for. We're not supposed to know everything. So look at the report and ask questions. And like I did, if it's not really crazy, you're just going to make note of it. The third thing about knowing your numbers is record and retest. Let me show you an example. My husband, his cholesterol has been a little out of the range, right? So what do? This, by the way, is his blood work file from years and years of going to the doctor and getting copies. So when my third point says record and retest, you can see here that the one thing in his blood that was off a little was his cholesterol. Everything else was in line. So I recorded from 2008, when it first started going a little high, till now 2017, I can walk into a doctor's office and say, here's his numbers. Here's what they are. Do you know how powerful it is to know your numbers and to be able to give the doctors a history like that? Because trust me, they don't know. They can't keep track of every one of their patients. It's our own personal responsibility to know our numbers. Okay, so that's the first point, and what Bob Harper agreed with me on. I've been doing it for years and years, and this morning he said, you know, I should have known my cholesterol. Can you imagine? He's a celebrity fitness trainer. So these are things that are important, and I intuitively did it because I'm a numbers person. But thank the good Lord that the whole world isn't full of numbers people like me. We would drive ourselves crazy. But this is important for you. So number one, know your numbers with those 3 simple tips that I just gave you. Thanks for watching me on YouTube today. And remember, this is a series, so you don't want to miss the next few days. Stay tuned, share this with your friends, and above all else, live an amazing life.